This week in Jamaica Now, how a first-time mom died under controversial circumstances hours after being refused admission at two government hospitals.
She died on the floor of the ICU at the University Hospital, and she died alone.
Jamaica records 8th COVID death and the confirmed cases are climbing. Government seeking to open up the economy, but private sector staff are being laid off. KFC, Burger King and Mothers and the law firm announced adjustments. Cop charged for breaching curfew. And homeward bound, Jamaican ship workers to return on May 6. They'll have to pay $20 a day for their accommodation while in quarantine. I'm Damian Mitchell and this is Jamaica Now. The police have launched a criminal negligence probe while the Health Ministry is undertaking an administrative investigation into the circumstances that led to the death of 23-year-old first-time mom Jodian Fearon. The St. Andrew woman who worked at the Passport, Immigration and Citizenship Agency died at the University Hospital of the West Indies last weekend. She had earlier been transferred from the Andrews Memorial Hospital in St. Andrew to the Spanish Town Hospital in St. Catherine, where she had a baby girl. But that was after Fearon was refused admission at the University Hospital and the Victoria Jubilee Hospital. It is reported that the pregnant mom was being prepared for delivery at Andrews but began displaying symptoms of COVID-19, and it was advised that she be transferred to another hospital since Andrews did not have the facility to treat coronavirus patients. After her delivery at the Spanish Town Hospital, her condition worsened and she was transferred to an isolation ward in the ICU at the University Hospital. She subsequently tested negative for the coronavirus and an autopsy revealed that she had heart failure. Medical Dr. Jeff DeFord, who observed the postmortem and Fearon's medical records on behalf of the family, said the first-time mom died on the hospital floor where she had been 20 minutes before she was found.
But when protocols break down, that is when you have death. And this is what has occurred in this instance.
And Fearon's partner, Kenton Sr., says it has been painful as the family seeks to come to grips with the death.
I can't believe this is Jamaica, man. That's certain. I didn't want to get emotional, but I can't believe this is where Jamaica has gone to. You understand? I grew up watching my grandmother saving people's lives. You understand? In the country where my grandmother delivering children out of their mothers. Right? And now to see something like this happening to my own.
In the meantime, Prime Minister Andrew Holness says he was deeply upset by the circumstances surrounding the death of Ms. Fearon.
The full force of the state and all its resources must be placed in ensuring that we get to the bottom of this issue, and those who are responsible must be held to account.
And on Tuesday, friends and relatives of Jodian Fearon gathered at Emancipation Park in Kingston to release white balloons to mark the 24th anniversary of her birth.
Jodie's always the life of the party.
Exactly.
And this is what she would have wanted. When we woke up this morning, I called Shag and then I called Ash. I'm like, we have to celebrate Jodie. They're like, Ash, yeah, we're planning on, we need to. So we decided to go and get some balloons, white balloons, you know, which is pure, which represent Jodie's heart.
Jamaica's 8th COVID-19 death has been linked to the Alorca call center in St. Catherine, whose Portmore site was the epicenter of a surge in coronavirus cases. In the meantime, the number of coronavirus cases continue to rise, with St. Catherine leading the tally. The Alorca situation had triggered a 24-hour curfew for St. Catherine, which ended on Friday. Meanwhile, the 8th COVID casualty is a 63-year-old woman from St. Catherine who was a contact of an Alorca employee. And 19 workers of the Health Ministry have tested positive for the COVID-19. And the National Public Health Laboratory is now operating on a 24-hour schedule as it moves to clear a backlog of samples for COVID testing. On Wednesday, Dr. Michelle Hamilton, the Director of Services at the National Public Health Laboratory, said about 400 samples were yet to be cleared.
Everybody has come together and decided to go the extra mile. So persons are working longer hours. We literally have now shifts working on a 24-hour basis, whereas most of the persons would have been working on an 8-hour basis.
Ravaged by fallout from the coronavirus, the Holness administration has established a high-powered task force to chart the road to recovery in the medium term. It's chaired by the Finance Minister, Dr. Nigel Clark, and comprises leaders and thinkers from academia and industry. And amid the government's effort, several companies this week announced staff changes. KFC has announced that some staff will be laid off. Burger King is halting operations at 2 locations, while Mothers will relieve 900 staff and 200 vendors when it closes 18 locations for 30 days. Meanwhile, the law firm Duncox has laid off 58 employees amid the COVID pinch. The 43 Jamaican ship workers aboard the Marella Discovery 2 are to return home on May 6. They have been in British maritime space for weeks after they were denied landing in Portugal. Before that, they had anchored south of Port Royal and Kingston on April 2, but left a day later after being denied landing. The captain of the ship left for the Dominican Republic after receiving no word from the Jamaican government as to whether the 43 Jamaicans would be granted landing amid the restrictions on incoming passengers as part of the coronavirus containment measures. The ship workers are returning home under a government program for the controlled re-entry of Jamaicans, but will be charged a daily rate of $20 during their 14-day quarantine in Jamaica. A justice of the peace, who's also a cop, is to face the Corporate Area Parish Court for alleged breach of the Disaster Risk Management Act. He was held after a raid on premises in the hills of Mount Pleasant, St. Andrew, after nightly curfew hours began at 6 o'clock on April 25. The police swooped down on premises owned and operated by District Constable Leroy Anthony Bennett. Bennett and others were found at his gambling house located at his residence. The police say other participants fled when the cops arrived. And that's it for this edition of Jamaica Now, your weekly review of the big news stories. Send us your comments at onlinefeedback@gleanerjm.com. You may follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Jamaica Gleaner and on Facebook at Gleaner Jamaica. Like our page on YouTube and subscribe today. I'm Damian Mitchell, and before we go, more on Jamaica Together, our drive to comfort each other as we stay apart.
If we combine our total efforts, there's nothing in the world that can stop us. And we will prove what we mean when we say Jamaica with little but with tallow.
Stay home, stay safe. My love, Jamaica Together.